everybody, with Sports Corner update. I'm Joe Kraus, your top story of the Lady Jack softball squad. Gets back in the win column. They're 5-0 victory over Grand Island and NFL action. Rachel Krausnick threw a 3-hitter on the night. Savannah Hader, a 2-run shot all the way to the tennis court. Bridget Wilson, the freshman, had 2 RBIs as well. They are on the road this afternoon against the Lady Blue Devils from Kenmore West. NT baseball lost, however, by a score of 10-2. Also, girls lacrosse earned their 3rd W of the season, their 13-6 victory over Niagara Falls. Alyssa Kissel, our player of the week, had 4 goals on the night. Paige Christopher and Desiree Doucette had a hat trick apiece as well. So congratulations to them this morning. NBA action for you. The Heat won in overtime over the Raptors, 102-96, and the Warriors having 2-0 edge over the Trailblazers. And to the ice, the Lightning, Predators, and Blues all took Game 3 of their series. A bunch of games on tonight as well. And the Bills signed Courtney Glenn to a 5-year, $65 million extension. Well, our guest this morning spent the 2000s in the blue and gold and became a fan favorite of the Buffalo Sabres and is considered one of the best enforcers in franchise history. Now he's the co-host of Hockey Hotline on WGR 550 with former teammate Craig Gervais and providing color commentary for some of their games this season. Will you please welcome to the show, Mr. Andrew Peters. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Buddy, thanks for having me.
So,
nice introduction.
Yeah, I mean, you are an enforcer.
No. I was an enforcer, but I wasn't a fan favorite, and I was not one of the better ones in the league. So let's get that clear.
In my eyes.
Okay, I appreciate the support.
I'm a big fan. So before we begin, we went through the archives, the good old North Star Yearbook archives, and my freshman year, so spring of 2013. You and Rob Brand, a bunch of the Sabres alumni, came to our school for a charity basketball game. And in case you guys don't remember, I believe the freshmen were only like in 6th grade when we did this, but Mr. Cook, you can ask him the story, made the buzzer beater, Ian Gilhausen with the game-winning assist from half court.
Yeah, that's the only one we ever lost, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
And the rest is history. But before, I don't know if he was just targeted for some reason. I don't know if there was a bounty on him ahead of time, but we found this picture. I don't know how well you guys can see it, but our good buddy Lou Medina is on the bottom, and Andrew Peters is on top. So, I mean, do you remember it very,
well?
Well,
I'll tell you what happened. He was at the time very mouthy, and I had missed several shots in a row that game, so I was frustrated, and I felt like I was letting my team down. So what enforcers do is we go out and we try to do what we do best and take things into our own hands and try and handle it. And I just felt that he was the least willing combatant, so he was the one that I wanted to go after most. Well, is that all right with you?
Yeah, well,
Is he here?
Yeah, he's here. He's actually, Lil, why don't you come on out?
Is it you? Grown man. How are you, buddy?
How are you?
Nice to see you. I was standing there talking to you, and I'm like, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, like, that guy looks a little bit familiar. I feel like I've stomped on his head a couple times.
Yeah. I think it's time that we bury the hatchet. Would you guys agree?
Yeah. I'm not ready to bury the hatchet. Listen, I got a lot of built-up frustration right now. My playoff bracket's not going the way it's supposed to be, and I would love to just ragdoll you one more time.
I mean...
No, but let's not do that for television. Well, no, thanks for coming in.
No problem.
How's school going?
Oh, great.
Is that your baseball uniform?
Yeah.
All right, good for you. How's the team doing?
We're all right.
Okay, how are you? The sports report.
Yeah.
How are they really doing?
They're doing pretty good. Well, they lost yesterday, 10-2. But other than
10-2.
Yeah.
But
oh man, to who?
Grand Island.
Oh, you don't lose to Grand Island, right? That's a rivalry game.
Maybe you should motivate the team.
The 10-2 loss should motivate you guys enough.
No, it's motivating us.
Thanks, Lou. Thanks for joining us this morning. So let's get to it. So when did you fall in love with the game of hockey?
All right, so I had a brother, my brother Jeff, and he's 2 years older. Only sibling that I have was I say this in modesty, but it's just truth when I say that he was like a young phenom. He was a dynamic player at a young age. He was all the way up into his teens. He was a 2nd overall pick in the OHL amateur draft, a 2nd rounder in the NHL. And I think that his passion and love for the game that he naturally took on, I think I saw that and fell in love with it. So hockey wasn't necessarily something that I found and fell in love with. I think it's something that I kind of grew into, but fell in love with it. So it's, you know, I'd say 4, 5, 6 years old, but you know, we started skating in Canada. Like, I mean, you're basically out of the womb and into skates. So
Right.
it's really, you know, I'd say 4 or 5 years old.
And you actually got the chance to play with your brother in Rochester for a while. So what was that like for you?
It was exciting and chaotic at the same time, because imagine two brothers in their early 20s, you know, sharing the same success, and but yet, you know, we're still combative. I mean, we're brothers, right? I mean, anybody who has siblings in the room here, everybody
Yeah,
pretty much, right? So we know what the sibling rivalry is. So, you know, it was amazing, I guess is the way to put it. It was kind of like taking two kids right from when they were children and putting them in pro uniforms. And actually, you know, I'm going to tell you a story. His first game, our first game together as a pro, he flew in late the night before he was traded to our team, and there were questions about whether or not he was even going to play. We go out for a warm-up, we find out that you know, we're on the same line, and we go out and I assist on his goal in the first period, and then, so naturally being the enforcer, I got to go show
Right.
Big Brother what I can do. So I go out, I get in a scrap, which I don't encourage kids or any athletes to do anymore or ever. And he assisted on my goal in the third. And if you look at my stats, I mean, you mentioned my job title when I was, excuse me, we're doing an interview here. You know that I wasn't known for scoring, so to have a goal and an assist in a game was rare, but to do it with your brother was pretty cool.
And then when you got the call from the Sabres back in 1998, how would you describe that moment in a couple of words?
All right, so, okay, a couple of words, so you're trying to keep me short. Dream come true. I mean, the draft was here in Buffalo, and the draft is here in Buffalo this year. So, dream come true, but it's not, the thing is that you know once you're drafted, it's not over. Like, that's just like the scary part, because now you've been drafted. Now is when the true failure can come in, because you're drafted high, and if you don't make it, you know, it's like all for nothing, right? So it's like that's when the real fear kicks in, when you wake up the next morning and you're like, okay, how do I get there?
Were you intimidated at all when you first got in the league? Like,
I'm
by the
intimidated
older
being
guys?
here with you now. So how do you think I was going into the NHL training camp at 18?
Probably the same
Yeah,
way.
no, way worse. No, yeah, no, yes, it's very intimidating. It never stops being intimidating, because the job never, you never can get complacent. You always have to go this way, and by that way, can people see us or just hear us?
No, they can see us.
Okay, so this way, trending upward. And the minute you start to taper off is when, you know, you're on the bubble and you're on your way out. So you're always on edge your entire career, unless you're a guy that's sitting on a 7-year, $50 million deal. Then, I mean, you're never going to take it easy, but you're in a much different situation mentally.
Absolutely. I think, I don't know if, I mean, you're mostly remembered, like we said, for being an enforcer, but my favorite moment as a Sabre was back in 2007 against the Ottawa Senators. You probably remember this game pretty well. Chris Drury took a shot to the head, and the next thing you know, all calves went loose. You know, Rick Jenrite almost had a stroke on the air. I love that man, by the way. But it just absolute chaos. And it was Marty Baron who went after Ray Emery, and then you went after him. So how would you describe? Did I say it right?
No, yeah, no, you nailed it.
I mean, how would you describe that moment? Was that a moment of just did that moment bring you guys even closer after he took that shot?
Absolutely. I think that's the moment where you sit and you say, what does a certain individual mean to your team? Well, if you want to know what a guy means to a team or a franchise or an organization, you just go back and look at that game, and you'll see guys that went out and tried to send a message. It wasn't about Ottawa, and it wasn't about Chris Neal. It was a message to the entire league, and that's, you know, you talked about losing 10-2. Well, how do you go and turn that around? How do you send a message to everybody and say, well, we're not going to stand for this? And, we had guys willing and very capable of going out. Now, what Brian Murray and the Ottawa Senators were thinking putting out Spezza, Heaton, and Comrie, I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that when Marty was fighting Ray Emery, I'm on the ice and I'm sitting here thinking I've got Pat Coletta, who's playing in his first NHL game, lying on his back with a 15-year veteran. I've got Adam Mayer trying to get at every single person that you can possibly imagine. You got other guys involved, and I'm sitting here and I'm trying to find a dance partner. I said, I'm not leaving here without getting in a fight. And then when I saw Marty and Ray Emery split up, I knew Ray Emery was the toughest guy on the ice. He might have been tougher than I was. I mean, so I just, I figured Marty's my good buddy. I love Marty.
Yeah.
And I just went over and I didn't even think we were going to fight. If you watch that fight, I didn't throw a punch. I was waiting and waiting, and the ref was there, and then I was just kind of like, you know what? I was just looking at him, and I was like, you know what? Screw you, buddy. I have to throw a punch here. Because I'd been clean the whole time. I could have been punching Spezza.
And the crowd was in there too.
Spezza has a bad back, and I knew it at the time. I could have been sitting there just on his spine, but I didn't do that. I wasn't that kind of guy.
It would have been an advantage to
Heatley actually tried to slash my head off my shoulders. If you go back and watch, I just tried to pull him, and he just turns around. League totally ignores that stuff, right? 50 goals that year. So he turns around and tries to basically chop my head off. So, it's like a lot of things were overlooked, but that's not a game I'm proud to be known for, but it's a game that I think was relevant in that team season for sure.
Can you stick around for a couple minutes for a couple more questions? Okay, we'll be back in a couple minutes. The rest of your morning announcements are after this.